So I came in as Chris's paraplanner.
Ooh,
yeah.
Tough job.
Yeah. A steep learning curve.
Is it tricky though, being a female financial planner in the Middle East?
A lack of really qualified women in the industry, especially in the Middle East. So I wanted to do it to prove a point there as well. You can do all the exams in the world, but actually putting it into practice is a different thing.
Yeah.
I think when you have to do it as a paraplanner, it really helps you to become a good planner, financial planner in the future.
So what is it about Dubai, and why should someone maybe consider it?
I think, what are you waiting for? Go and do it. And that's the thing about the people that have come here and live here now. They're kind of the go-getters.
Let's dispel some myths. You've been here for a while, right? So can you give us your honest experience of what it's like to be a female in Dubai?
Life's just better here generally, I would say. I don't think I'd be in the position that I'm in today if I'd been in the UK.
What are you excited about when it comes to your career, Hoxton, and say the next couple of years?
If you come in and you're lazy and you kind of just want to sit back and let other people do the work and do the bare minimum, then your time at Hoxton's probably going to be relatively short. You really need to kind of put the hard work in, but you get a lot in return.
Jessica, thanks so much for joining me today on the Hoxton Life podcast. This is our podcast. This is an insight into what it's like to work within the financial planning profession, specifically in the international space, of which you've now spent 4.5 years in as now a financial planner. But you didn't start out that way, did you?
No, didn't start out that way. I came to Dubai in 2015, started working for Emirates and as cabin crew for 5 years, and then got made redundant. And that's when I transitioned back into being kind of in the finance industry.
Fantastic. So how long, as a cabin crew?
5 years as Emirates cabin crew.
Brilliant. And you moved to Dubai for that very job?
For that role, yeah.
Lived in the Emirates compound, is it?
They originally, Emirates sell the dream that you're going to live, along the marina and all these fancy buildings, but actually I ended up out near Al Qusais area, which was kind of on the border of Sharjah. So put an accommodation there and then quickly moved out of that accommodation and moved down to this area here, which is JLT. So yeah, it was great. Traveled the world, saw the world, but it got tiring very quickly. Right. But yeah, 5 years was a long time to be doing it.
You said you transitioned back into finance then. So you were in finance before that? Did you have experience of working in financial services at all? Yeah,
so I worked in Ireland for one of their banks called Permanent TSB. Right. So I was actually working in the branch as a teller. However, they put me through my qualifications, which is the equivalent of the level 4 exams in the UK. It's called the QFA in Ireland. So I did the exams. I did a few of the exams while I was living and working in Ireland for the bank. So I never actually practiced kind of being a financial planner and a financial advisor, but I got the qualifications behind me for the Irish equivalent.
So natural academic then, by the sounds of it. You love doing qualifications?
Do you know what? I actually really do. I really love studying. It's so strange. I was always like this at school. My friends always hated me because I'd do an exam, I wouldn't study for it, and I'd pass. So I think I'm, without making myself sound horrendous, but I am actually naturally quite intelligent. So yeah, I mean, I do. I enjoy studying. I enjoy challenging myself, which is obviously the reason I did so many exams as well at Hoxton.
I got to ask you though, because I was never a naturally academic person, but I can visualize things quite well. So like I visualize myself being out here in Dubai filming podcasts, right? Before I even joined Hoxton. It's crazy. Yeah. So I can see that, I can visualize it, and I'll achieve what it is that I want to achieve. When it comes to actually studying though, how do you do that without, how do you pass these exams? How do you, because you're level 7, for instance, and we'll get onto that in a bit, right? That's tough, right?
Yeah.
How do you, just do an exam and pass it, for instance, like you did when you were in school?
It's difficult, really. People have different ways of studying. I tended to just read the book, which sounds really simple and stupid, but I just read the book from front to back. And then what I would do is make my own kind of revision sheet. So I'd see any highlighted sections on the page and realise that anything was highlighted or bold, it was important probably. So then I'd create my own question from that rather than just relying on the test questions, because I thought that they would probably unlikely come up in the exams. Right. So I'd read through the page, I'd create my own question based on what I thought was important, write the answer in, then give it to one of my friends. My friend Ruby used to have to do this a lot for me. Used to give it to my friends and say, right, question me, ask me the questions. And I'd do that for every exam, especially for the level 4. Yeah, it worked really well, and they kind of, as it gradually went up to level 7, it didn't work as well, but it was a really good way of helping me pass the level 4 exams.
Level 4 through which
CISI.
CISI. So
Yeah.
how many papers is that one?
3.
Okay.
So you've got 3 exams with CISI to be level 4, the investment diploma with them. So regulations, investment risk and tax, and financial planning will get you the level 4 qualification, and then you can go on from there if you want to. You don't have to.
Yeah.
That's the kind of standard for being a financial planner advisor in the UK.
You definitely don't have to. You can be.
Yeah, you don't have to. Yeah.
Why did you end up going
I
towards
really
level
don't
7?
know. No, I didn't go to university, so I felt like I had a point to prove to myself and to my family and friends at home. They were always, really shocked that I didn't go to university, and kind of thought that I was wasting my life by not going to university. So I kind of wanted to prove a point that I could still do it later on in life and kind of get to a qualification level that kind of matched their university degrees, if not higher. So yeah, I did it. And I also saw kind of a lack of really qualified women in the industry, especially in the Middle East. So I wanted to do it to prove a point there as well. Obviously, it's a very heavily male-dominated industry, and I wanted to be a very qualified female advisor in the region.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely rare in the UK. We need more women in the financial planning
Yeah.
profession. We need more women in leadership roles.
Yeah.
We need more women coming on podcasts and talking about their careers to inspire other women to actually get in it. Is it tricky, though, being a female financial planner in the Middle East?
No, to be honest, I haven't found it to be that tricky. I actually think it's a benefit to be a female financial advisor in the Middle East because there's so many male advisors. There's quite a lot of clients who would prefer to deal with women, just feel a bit more comfortable with women. And because there's only a few of us at Hoxton, there's only a few to choose from. So I've actually found it's actually helped me throughout my kind of advisory career anyway.
And that's male and female clients.
Yeah. Some people just prefer. I mean, some people equally would prefer to deal with a man than a woman. But yeah, I've got a lot of clients, and there's a lot of times I speak to colleagues, and they say, "Well, I'm going to book this client in to speak to you because she would prefer to speak to a woman," and that's absolutely fine.
So how about things like networking events out here? Do you get involved in any of those?
I don't, to be honest. I don't really get involved in too many networking events. It's something that I need to do. But yeah, it's nothing really that I've kind of tapped into previously. It's something that I'm looking to do in the future.
Yeah, no worries. All right, let's get back into how you got into Hoxton then. So you joined Hoxton.
Yep.
4.5 years ago.
Yeah.
What was the first job role that you did without any experience?
So I came in as Chris's paraplanner.
Ooh,
Yeah.
tough job.
Yeah. Steep learning curve. I came in with very little experience. Obviously, I'd worked in banking. Like I said, I hadn't practiced being a financial planner, although I had my qualifications behind me. And then was at Emirates for 5 years. So when I first started at Hoxton, I hadn't actually worked from a laptop for years and years, and people were laughing at me saying I used to control click, control paste.
Right.
Right click copy, right click paste, rather than control V, control C, whatever it is. And people would just laugh at me. But yeah, I had to learn very quickly how to do the role. And working for Chris, you do learn very quickly.
Yep.
Obviously, he's very knowledgeable. The team around him as well, really, really supportive. So yeah, I learned a lot very, very, very quickly.
Great stuff. So you went straight in as a power planner then, because traditionally within this business, you've got like the trainee wealth manager route, unless you were actually coming in to like do a power planner role or an admin role or an operational role. So back then you came in as a power planner.
Yeah.
It's not the typical route that we have within the business where someone goes from power planner and then into financial planner. Mm-hmm. How long were you in that power planner role then?
So I worked as a power planner for Chris for a year, pretty much, I think. And then I transitioned into the defined benefit advice side, and I was a power planner for that side of the division. So I was still a power planner at that point, but just not working directly for Chris anymore. And then I passed my next exam, which gave me the level 6 pension transfer specialist exam. So then I became a pension transfer specialist in that area, and then transitioned from being a PTS to kind of a full-time just financial planner. So it's been quite a journey, different roles.
When did you identify within yourself that it wasn't the power planner route you wanted to go down, that you actually wanted to be a financial planner?
I think I missed dealing with people.
Okay.
Yeah, I miss speaking to people. Obviously, power planner role, you can kind of get involved in that if you want to, but primarily your role is to kind of write the suitability reports and kind of more kind of the report writing side than it would be face-to-face meetings. And I obviously have spent 5 years working at Emirates, speaking to people on a daily basis, and naturally I'd say I'm quite a sociable person. So I actually really miss kind of that interaction with people. So I mean, it's been a learning curve being a financial planner, because I've gone from being a paraplanner into financial planning now, and it's a completely different role. But again, it's something that I've really, really enjoyed. And don't get me wrong, I still enjoy doing the paraplanning side as well. Sometimes that, I think we were talking the other day and saying, there's nothing I love more than kind of a quietish day where I can just put my headphones in and just write reports and crack on with my work. And then there's days where I'd want to speak to clients all day. So it's kind of nice that I can get to do both.
What is it about the paraplanning role that you actually enjoy?
I really enjoyed the knowledge that it taught me, because it was, like I said, a massive learning curve for me. I had to learn everything. It gives me a really good technical background, especially for the UK, to then now feel confident as a planner that you can do all the exams in the world, but actually putting it into practice is a different thing.
Yeah.
I think when you have to do it as a paraplanner, it really helps you to become a good planner, financial planner in the future.
Great stuff. So predominantly UK-based clients you're working with, is that right?
Yeah, so I have a lot of clients based in the UK resident. I do have a lot of clients who are living offshore as well, but the majority of my client bank is UK resident at the moment.
Great. And have you spent time in the UK as a financial advisor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I moved out to Dubai in 2015 and moved back to the UK in 2023 in October. I'd been here for 8 years at that point. And I always had it in my head that I was going to go back to the UK at some point. It was never kind of a long-term plan to be in Dubai, although I loved it. I always thought, I'd settle in the UK, and personal circumstances meant that I wanted to leave at that point.
Yeah.
So I went back to the UK in the October, lasted till, well, I came out for work for a conference in January. I was meant to stay for 3 weeks and I stayed for 3 months. So it was, I think the cold was getting to me. It was this, I just missed kind of my friends over here, the life I had over here. But yeah, I ended up going back to the UK and actually spent kind of the rest of the year in the UK. So I'm just recently moved back to Dubai full time in September, just gone. So it's I did pretty much a full year, give or take a few months living in Dubai. But yeah.
What is it about Dubai then? Because I've been here for 3 months now, so
Yeah.
I'm quite early on in my journey. I've got a kind of idea in my head of why I think I'm going to stay. But what about you? What is it about Dubai? Because you've seen it also, I suppose, within those nearly 10 years, right?
Yeah.
You've seen it change probably quite
Massively.
dramatically.
Yeah.
So what is it about Dubai, and why should someone maybe consider it?
I think, there's obvious benefits. There's the sunshine, maybe too much sunshine in the summer months, but, the majority of the year, you've got great weather. There's the tax benefits. Obviously, it's tax-free, which is lovely. Cost of living is probably slightly higher than maybe the UK. But regardless of kind of all that, it's the positivity of everybody. Everybody kind of has this like raring to go attitude. Like they get up in the morning and kind of jump out of bed, the sun's shining, what am I going to do with my day? No one really comes home from work and just sits on the couch and watches TV. Everyone's always active, whether it's playing paddle or tennis or golf or whatever it may be. It's a very active community. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's people that come home from work and slop out on the couch, as you would see in the UK as well. But it just seems to be kind of everybody is happier. And whether that is the sunshine, they do say that does it to you. And I guess getting up every day in the UK and seeing grey clouds and it drizzle outside is not the most kind of appealing situation to be kind of, let's organise something, let's do something fun. Whereas it definitely is. You get that vibe over here, and I'm sure you've kind of experienced that as well.
100%. That's probably one of the quickest things I realised was the weather.
Yeah. For
somebody that I can be quite up and down. My dad's got that like seasonal affective disorder, so I think genetically, I think I've got it as well.
Yeah.
I have to work really hard in the winter months in the UK.
Yeah.
To get through them. So like I would have to be outside. So I have to go out running, and I have to kind of embrace the seasons, like for what they are. Because if I wished for the sunshine to come, because the sun always does make me feel better, right?
Yeah.
When spring comes, when summer comes, I feel good. I suppose for me, it was like I was getting negged out in the UK because it never really ever came, the sun.
Yeah.
Like you get like two weeks.
You get 3 days in the summer, don't forget them.
Yeah. And it's like, it sucks. Like, and you look and you always think, oh, I can't wait to like sit in the garden. So you buy all that really expensive garden furniture and your barbecue, and
it just goes rusty.
Yeah.
Because you never use it.
And you've got this idea in your head that you're going to party in your garden with your friends on a Saturday. And then unfortunately, the days where you have the heat wave is the day when you're at work.
Yeah.
And it just used to kind of just like, it did definitely neg me out. And I think the British, we do talk about the weather for that very reason, right? And it does kind of like stop and start our kind of social lives.
Yeah.
Coming here, it's like, oh, look, it's another sunny day. I go out on my balcony, I look out in the morning, I do my prayers, I do I do my meditation and I wake up and I see the sunrise every single morning and I just know it's there. It's just one less thing to worry about. I'll go to the beach at the weekend or I'll sit by the pool with my daughter. I'm outside, as you say.
Yeah.
And I just think that is an absolute huge one. Tax-free is definitely a big one, right?
Yeah.
And like advisors in the UK now need to understand that if you want to come and join us here at Hoxton and you want to continue servicing your UK-based clients, you can do that with us, right? Yeah. You can absolutely do that. And that's one of the reasons why I joined.
Yeah.
Was for that very, very benefit. Because as a business, it's exciting. It's international. We're multi-jurisdiction. We're giving advice to clients from Dubai who might come from the USA, Australia, South Africa, Europe, UK. And I had to come here to believe it because internationally it's never really had a great name, the international market. And when I came and I sat down with Chris and I looked under the bonnet, I was blown away. And as soon as I realised what actually the opportunity was on the international scale, just how much opportunity there was in the expat space, I was like, sign me up. Because to me, it was exciting. And for me, because also I'm a creative, podcasting and videos and all of that kind of stuff. And God, it's so much easier to make content around an international firm than it is in a UK firm, right?
Yeah.
I think as well, because it's kind of lifestyle, because you touched on that a second ago. There's a career here. You're not afraid to work hard. And a lot of people in Dubai work hard. It's just that culture, right? It's like
work hard, play hard.
Work hard, play hard culture. But to me, it feels like a lifestyle magazine, like I'm living in a lifestyle travel magazine. So if I can take that and I can put that into something like Hoxton, like where I went out to France recently and I filmed with Michael Yule. And I showed what it's like to be a financial advisor in Europe, servicing his clients that are South African or American or from the UK. I can paint that picture for somebody and I can show it to them. Then not only they go, wow, I could do that as well. Because people close their eyes often and you say, what would you love to do? Oh, I'd love to live in the sun and work in the sun, or Europe or France, or retire there. So you don't have to. You don't have to retire. You can go and do it now. You know, you spend the next, imagine if you're an IFA or a financial advisor, right? And the average age is 55 years old. So right, they're thinking about their exit. Well, don't exit. Just go and live in France for 5 years. Rent your house out in the UK. Go and rent somewhere in France. Get stuck in, you can still see your clients and you can do it with us. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, because there's so many people, like you said, they talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. My parents are the same. They've talked about it for years. They would love to live abroad, love to live near the sea, but they've never done it. And I'm just thinking, what are you waiting for? Go and do it. And that's the thing about the people that have come here and live here now. They're kind of the go-getters. They're kind of... Apologies to mom and dad. I'm not saying that you're not go-getters.
My parents are the same though. They, day in, day out. Like, they got the money, right? But they're choosing not to go and live in France, or, you know, and I'm like, why? Like, why whinge about the weather day in and day out? And why not go somewhere like France? Why not go somewhere like Spain? If you've got the money, you've got the capability to do it, go and do it. And I think the opportunity for us to work abroad now is huge. Huge. Right? And again, young, dynamic, innovative company like Hoxton, we want to attract those people who've got that kind of growth expanded mindset and want to be part of an international business. It's exciting, it's interesting, it gives those, especially when you look at the back of the budget and you look at Britain and you think to yourself, what's going to happen there? How many people are going to be leaving? How many people's clients are going to be moving abroad? You know, it's a huge opportunity. Huge opportunity, it's I mean, it is just generally a great place to be. And even geographically, being in Dubai, you've got so many countries that kind of wouldn't be as accessible to you from the UK, that your holidays can be spent, you know, in the Maldives is 4 hours away and Seychelles is 5 hours away, and everything is life's just better here generally, I would say. I mean, that's not to diss the UK. I absolutely love it, and spent the whole summer in the UK and had a fabulous time kind of, you know, as a tourist in London pretty much, you know, just loving our own country. But it was it's a great place to be, and, you know, it's a very transient place and people come and go quite a lot. But it gives them, generally speaking, I would say, if you've been in Dubai and then you go back to the UK, a lot of people don't tend to settle then in the UK. They end up moving somewhere else. It might not be Dubai, but it could probably be another country. But yeah, it's I mean, I love it. Let's dispel some myths, because some women might be listening to this podcast and you hear about like, oh, it's a horrible place to live in Dubai if you're a woman. You've been here for a while, right? So can you give us your honest experience of what it's like to be a female in Dubai?
I mean, 10 years of living here, I don't have a story. You know, there's nothing that's ever happened to me. I've never felt uncomfortable. I've never felt, you know, judged for being a Western woman here. It's, you know, every time I've had any dealings with, you know, kind of speaking to the police on the street or whatever it may be, they're very, very nice, very respectful. Yeah, never had an issue. So I was just speaking to a lady the other day who was asking me the same questions. Do you feel comfortable as a woman there? Do you have to cover up? Do you have to do this? Can you drive? All these questions that, people still think, you're not allowed to drive there and you're very restricted on what you can and cannot do. It's not like that at all. Obviously, you have to be very respectful.
Of course.
And you wouldn't go kind of government buildings or the malls, with your kind of shoulders out or your knees out. But I mean, what is that? You could just throw a pair of trousers on and a t-shirt and you're good. It doesn't impact you on a day-to-day basis. But yeah, generally speaking, it's a great place to be for a young woman. There's so many opportunities here as well. It's a lot more opportunities in Dubai than there would be in the UK. I don't think I'd be in the position that I'm in today if I'd been in the UK.
I like it. I like it. And why do you think that is?
Firstly, I think obviously I joined Hoxton when they were a relatively young company. So I've kind of grown as Hoxton's grown, which is great. But I think, people just take chances on people a little bit more here. I think if I'd kind of interviewed for maybe an IFA firm in the UK with no experience at all, but an Irish qualification behind me and said, please, I promise I'll learn, they'd probably say, well, thanks for your time, but no thanks.
Yeah,
whereas,
that's very true.
Chris had, thankfully took a chance on me and I promised that I would get really qualified. So I stuck to the promise.
What did he see in you, do you think?
Absolutely no idea. I'm joking. I think probably determination. I'm quite a determined person. I'm quite competitive, so I do kind of want to be the best. So maybe that. And it's definitely more of a kind of. I mean, not really driven by money or anything like that. I'm more driven about just kind of. I want to be the most qualified. I want to be this. I want to be that. So that's probably what's driven me to kind of be at the level that I am today.
Which is one of the most qualified within our business, right?
Yeah. For the UK.
For the UK.
Yeah. I'll just put that in there. For the UK. There's a lot of very qualified people in different jurisdictions as well. But yeah, from the UK.
So plans-wise for you then, okay, so you've been 4.5 years, you've seen the business grow.
Yeah.
It is an exciting time to join Hoxton. It's an exciting time to be part of the business. I also think putting in place things like the long-term incentive plan, the LTIP, I think it's a really smart move because it aligns us as a business to work together towards a common goal and for us all to benefit from that. How big that will be, we don't know. It's dependent upon how hard we work within the business and how we all come together and grow it together. It is an exciting time. What are you excited about when it comes to your career, Hoxton, and say the next couple of years?
Essentially, I'd say I'm more excited about kind of growing my own business because you have kind of you consider to have your own kind of business within the business, right? Because you've got your own clients. Nobody really gets involved in my clients. They're my clients that I deal with on a day-to-day basis. I want to grow that. I'm excited about continuing to be able to travel. I'm excited about kind of where Hoxton will go as a whole. I mean, Chris will have an idea in his head and he won't, dilly-daddle around it. He will want to do something and action it the next day. So it's a very kind of get things done company. Which is really exciting. I have no idea kind of what the long-term plans are for Hoxton. But whatever it is, I'm very excited about being involved in it because I know it's going to be great.
Do you feel secure in your job?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. I mean, 4.5 years and I've kind of not jumped around from kind of different roles, but kind of progressed through kind of starting where I started to where I am now. And yeah, I've always had kind of that support from Chris and other management within the company as well. But yeah, I feel very secure.
Yeah, it's definitely an ecosystem for somebody like you. Somebody that challenges direction, somebody that challenges authority. You're a strong-minded woman, right? You are not sitting back and just, Yeah.
Chris will probably tell you that.
Yeah. You're making things happen for yourself, right? Like you said, I'm driven, I'm competitive.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've noticed in here is that standing up and pushing forward and wanting to push forward, but just not saying I want, but actually saying I'm delivering, I want to do this.
Yeah.
It's encouraged.
Yeah.
No one's going to give you something on a silver platter.
No.
That's for sure.
You have to fight for it.
You have to fight for it. You have to work for it. You have to evidence it. And I think that's one of the key things culturally that I'm recognizing. I don't think it's the right environment for someone to come in where you're expecting something from somebody.
No.
You're going to get what you give.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's a give and receive culture.
Yeah.
And you have to show your worth and give your energy and to receive good positive energy back.
Yeah.
If you're coming in with this take mentality, it's not the right environment.
Yeah.
It's my personal opinion.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. You have to kind of prove yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they talk about Gen X or Gen Z or whatever it is, Gen Z, saying, you know, they kind of come in and they just expect everybody to do everything for them. That's not the environment that we're in. And, you know, that's not going to work for any company, really. You need to go in, you need to prove yourself. And if you prove yourself and you work hard and you're good at your job, then there will be endless opportunities for you at Hoxton.
Yeah.
If you come in and you're lazy and you kind of just want to sit back and let other people do the work and do the bare minimum, then your time at Hoxton is probably going to be relatively short, because you really need to kind of put the hard work in. But you get a lot in return. Yeah. So
there's roughly about 16% of the financial planners in the UK are female, less over here in the Middle East. What advice would you give women coming into, say, a financial planning business, especially in Dubai? Let's be honest, like, what if it is? There are more male advisors than there are female advisors in the business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing they should expect.
Yeah.
What do you think, like, the mindset should be for a woman coming in? Is it harder for a woman in a financial services business than it is for a man? Do you see it that way? Honestly, what's your opinion on it, and what should women expect, and and also what do you think could change in these environments? What change would you like to see?
I think it's a personality thing. I think I've grown up with, you know, boy cousins and boyfriends, not boyfriends, like boy mates. That, you know, I've been very much around kind of the male way of doing things and kind of their banter and their personality, and kind of I'm able to deal with that. But I think if you come in and, you know, you're relatively kind of introverted and, you know, maybe a little bit more shy, then you might struggle a bit. I think you just need to go in really strong and kind of put your stamp on things and say, I'm here, I'm going to be successful, I want to be really qualified, I want to do really well, and kind of, go for it. Yeah. It is unfortunately very male, well, not unfortunately very male dominated, but unfortunately there's not a lot of females that want to go into the industry. And I don't know whether that's kind of the old view of kind of the finances is just generally kind of a man's world, and people are scared, they don't really understand it, or so maybe that starts at kind of school age. Maybe we need to educate people when they're in high school and maybe do courses on it and things like that to get people a bit more interested in it. But yeah, Hoxton, the female kind of work balance of male and female, I think it's grown massively in the last year. It has.
We got higher than the industry average, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure, but not necessarily for advisory roles, different types of roles. So we could kind of focus on getting people into the graduate scheme and the trainee wealth management scheme. Then I think it would be really good. I think the graduate scheme at the moment is all for men. Yeah,
you got a few girls on there. I think 2 or 3 girls on there at the moment.
Really? Okay.
Within the trainee wealth manager program.
Yeah.
Actually, I've been speaking to Chris about the trainee wealth manager route for a while, and Jacob, and looking at how we can change it and develop it. I do think we need to, like, for example, I would like to get you, I know you're not a massive fan of social media, but I would like to get you involved in talking about the business as a female financial planner, so we can start to talk to younger women about what it's like to work here and what the opportunity actually looks like, what the career looks like for them, right? Mm-hmm. A guy telling them that is great, and I can tell them that, and we can tell them that as guys, right? But you need more female leaders and more females leading by example and sharing that journey and sharing that story. This is what this podcast is all about, because other women will identify with a woman more than they would identify with me, for instance, and a guy, right? And that's what we need to do. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to that next trainee wealth manager cohort, if you like, I want it to be 50-50. If it means that we have to put more energy and effort into marketing it to women, so be it. Yeah. You know, we have to step up and do that and make sure that our adverts are attractive to women, and that we are creating podcast episodes where we're talking about it and we're directing it to women. If we're going into universities to talk about what it's like to work for Hoxton, then I want women to come in there, not just guys. Yeah, you know,
absolutely.
So that's something that we can definitely do, and I think we need to do as a profession, as a financial services in general, is to have more women talking about what it's like to work in those roles. Yeah, and I've always been a champion of that. Financial Planner Life podcast always had women on it. I've just recently done I've just produced a podcast for the PFS, Personal Finance Society, called Wealth and Women. Yeah. I've had all those. They had 4 women on there talking about what it's like to work within the financial planning profession as a female. And do you know what, right? So I'm sat there on the outside looking in because we're producing it, and it's a completely different perspective. Like their conversation about working in financial planning, and how they approached each conversation, how they approached their career and their stories. It was a completely different conversation to the conversation I would have with them, even on the Financial Planner Life, right?
Yeah.
And they're open and honest with me.
Yeah.
But 4 women around a table talking about it, completely different. And it was like, oh my God, that's refreshing. Because in the UK, you've got this podcast called the Trap Podcast, which is called the Real Advisor Podcast.
Okay.
It's like 4 middle-aged white men.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
classic.
Classic.
Yeah, so instead we had 4 women.
Yeah.
Right? And we had 4 women around the table, and I was like, you've got to do this to PFS. And fair play, they did it, and it went down an absolute storm.
I
So
love that.
more stuff like that is definitely required and definitely needed, and seeing more women step up and actually do it. I know you're not a massive fan of social media.
Not a big fan of social
Not a
media,
big fan
no.
of social media. But I think after this, we can do a little bit more, and we can get your story out there and maybe get you presenting or just talking to some women that might
You pushed
be...
it too far. I'm joking.
I'm going to get you definitely in front of more women talking about this, okay? But listen, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing your journey today at Hoxton Life.
Thanks for having me on.
Awesome to meet you, and I'm really looking forward to get to know you more and more and more as I embark on my Hoxton Life. So thank you.
Thank you.